All right, in this episode, joined with Enxhi Qemali from the class of 2013. Wow,
It's,
2013.
yeah, it's been a while. It's been a
It
while.
has been a while. I literally have not seen you in 12 years. Uh, it's crazy. All right, so think back to when you were in middle school. Uh, why'd you decide to come to early college?
Um, it was more my parents that decided that I was going to early college than I did.
Good.
They liked the opportunities and the financial support.
Good. All right, so parents decide that you're coming here. You get to Bridge Week, you get to freshman year. Any regrets?
I I mean, I have an art background, so I just wish at that point it was still in the preliminary and there wasn't as much accessibility to that. So, I still pursued it in my own time and pursued it in college. So I have no regrets in regard to that. That would be my only thing is like if I could put that or make it more of a portion of my education at that point as well.
Sure. Fine arts is definitely something we don't have. Some people are able to fill that gap back at their base schools. Some aren't able to. But definitely something we're missing for sure. Art history and music appreciation don't really do that justice at all. All right, so you do the freshman year stuff. Was it as hard as you thought?
It not necessarily content, workload was intense. So it was just that you were always going, but the actual like difficulty, I don't think so.
Gotcha. So we keep you busy for sure. All right, so you get through freshman year, you're smart, probably fairly easy there. You get into sophomore year. That's actually when we met during your sophomore year. You're starting to take some college classes. What do you think about the rigor for more Georgetown Tech?
Um, I thought it was good. I mean, I don't remember any I don't remember anything. I was like I liked like the philosophy, psychology, portions, the introductory to different elements were pretty easy. The only thing I remember being intensely difficult was like advanced chemistry and microbiology.
It sounds hard.
Yeah, those were very difficult. Those were the ones that I was like, oh, I gotta really study to keep my grades up for this.
Cool. All right, so you're working your way through. How did you kind of fulfill uh, that art person in you while you were here? You know, you said you kind of did it in your own time. How did you fulfill that need?
I mean, I was always self-taught to an extent. I had an art class, I think, in fourth grade, and I didn't have anything else until college. I don't believe my middle school really had many options either. I think we did a clay thing once or something. It was so I mean, I tried to get involved in local things where I could, but generally speaking, I always just pursued it, whether it was tutorials, videos, and even at this point, I'm 30, I look up tutorials, I do digital illustration, I'm working on some larger canvas pieces, and if I want to learn it, I'll figure it out.
Cool. Always admired that about you. You'd always find a way. All right, so what'd you major in at Tech?
I mean, tech, it was like your general
Like
associate,
associate of arts?
yeah, associate of arts, and I
Gotcha.
transferred to Coastal and did graphic design with I finished with an art history minor. I almost had an art studio minor as well, but I would have had to stay, and the classes were like not lined up for it to be done in the near future. So I
Gotcha.
left that
When'd you graduate from Coastal?
2016,
2016. All right, and so how old were you in 2016?
21.
Okay. Then what? What's next on the agenda for you?
I worked at Tyson Sign across from Coastal. And I was a sign designer for them. It was honestly now that I live in Pittsburgh, that I realized some of what they had us do was actually engineering rather than just design. Like the design part, I didn't actually utilize as much. You're learning how to build things to specifications in new software. So I think they got away with calling it design.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah.
All right, so you work for Tyson Sign. It literally is right across the street from us. Uh, so everything there for your life is right next to each other. That's fun. Uh, then what?
I wasn't there for long. I left and I kind of realized I hadn't gotten to enjoy a lot because I was always just kind of getting through one point and the next. I did some retail management, design on the side, kayak tour guide for a couple of years, and honestly, it was some of the best time of my life. And I moved a couple times. I relocated and I still do design on the side and so on. I prefer to pursue the art portion, and that's what I've realized. And I chose graphic design more so because it involved art and it was one of the only options I was aware of at that point. Now I know a lot more about the industry. I wish there was a bit more knowledge in regards to that. And I switched to like the financial side of it. I'm a financial professional at the moment. I'm working towards financial advising. And I'm in,
Exciting.
yeah. And now when I work on my art, it's not as contingent on my paycheck. So I get to be more explorative with it.
That's cool. That is very cool. All right, so let's get to this financial thing. Obviously, I have a passion for the financial stuff. What are you doing in the financial sector?
Well, I work with New York Life. So I'm an agent and I'm also a financial professional, a registered representative. So I'm starting to do the investment portion of it. I help people plan for their futures and implement things. So it's very custom. It's not like a set list. That's the hardest thing. Is like most people are like, what do you do specifically? And I'm like, it depends on the conversation. It depends
Right,
on the person. It depends on the small business. It depends on what they want. And I work with them or partner them with someone that can't support them if it's something I don't offer.
right. I think a lot of people do lose track of that. They're looking for a cookie cutter answer to it, and it's just not. It's like a conversation we have here with our kids when we're talking, do you want a certificate, associate? How far do you need to go with your education? There's not a one answer. It could be anything. It kind of depends on you. And the financial world's the same way. It depends on the situation, depends on the goal, depends on a lot of stuff. Uh, but that kind of probably makes it fun, right?
Yeah. It's problem solving, a lot of like socializing and interaction, which I've done in my background. And I mean, when I thought of art, I always thought of it as creative problem solving. So if it was figuring out how to build something, do something, or how to get something to work the way I want, it was all a lot of critical thinking, and this is the same.
Cool. So you enjoy it?
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that?
It's been about a year, about a
Okay,
year.
very cool. All right, and you mentioned earlier you're in Pittsburgh. What brought you to Pittsburgh?
Well, I moved here with an ex-boyfriend for a little bit. I didn't like him, but I liked the area, so I left and came back.
Cool. Pittsburgh's interesting. I actually went the first time last year. Wish I'd known you were there.
Well, now you do.
Now I do.
I'm in
Uh,
there all the time.
and
Sorry.
Pittsburgh is an interesting place for people who haven't been. I didn't appreciate truly the number of bridges that are there. It's a lot of bridges and a lot of yellow.
It is the city of bridges, which
City of bridges.
I didn't know until I actually moved here either. And I'm like, I have a little watercolor set, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna sit and just paint some bridges.
That's funny. And when we're talking, there are a lot of bridges. We're not kidding. It's a lot of bridges, a whole lot of bridges. My family is currently in the process of visiting every Major League Baseball stadium. And I just got to say, Pittsburgh's is one of the most beautiful backdrops of any stadium we've been to. It's just absolutely stunning. A lot of great art as well in Pittsburgh. Another unknown fact for many. You have, what is it, the Andy Warhol Museum there?
Yeah, there's the Andy Warhol Museum, there's historical museums, and there's local galleries and a lot more opportunities for artists. So it's kind of cool. It's a cool city.
Very
There's a
cool.
lot going on.
Very cool. All right, so let's get it back to early college and we'll kind of land the plane. What advice would you give the senior who's finishing up? Seniors take their final exams here at the end of April, super early this year. They think they know what they want to do. What advice do you give them as they begin this next chapter?
Got a couple. One of them would be if you know someone in that field or find someone in that field and shadow for a day or a week or however long they let you, because things you don't realize at school are what the lifestyle is going to be like in that position and how that's going to impact how you feel about it. Because you might appreciate the work, but you might not appreciate the climate that it's happening in. For myself, I don't do well being sedentary all day. So like I love working on art, but like I do it for a couple hours here, a couple hours there. But like if I'm sitting at a desk for 9+ hours, I'm personally miserable. So like it can be something like that, or where you are on the totem pole, or like how things are communicated. I'm not saying like people don't have to work their way up, but it's all going to impact your day to day, and that's going to be what your actual life is like. Um, the other would be if as you're going into college, because you're from early college, a lot of your core curriculum is gone. So if you have more intensive course loads, lab-based classes, your college workload can be a lot heftier than you expect.
Mm.
So it's like whether that is picking up like more relaxed minors that you might enjoy or not in order to maintain my scholarships personally. When I went to college, I kind of had to take charge. I let someone build my schedule the first semester and it didn't end as well for me and it set me back. They were still like projecting for me to graduate in 4.5 years. Even with my core curriculum gone. So I would say like
Right.
take charge of that, look at what you're going to have to get done, come up with your own ideal schedule and find what balance will look like for yourself. Um, so you can maintain that and still enjoy your experience rather than like getting to 2 years in and being like, oh, none of this is happening the way I want. Because, yeah, no one's going to care as much as you.
Very true. Got to advocate for yourself. Very good. Well, if you'll hang on the line for 2 seconds after I stop the recording, that'd be great. Enxhi Qemali, class of 2013.